So hey guys, welcome back. Now we're gonna do that Hearthstone. And that's Sam again. He's here as well. Hey Sam. When did you join the Skype? Oh,
I
nice.
am the Dark Mantle.
So yeah, we're gonna do the explanation of the Warlock deck. That's what we're gonna start with. Starve. What the hell? We're gonna starve, Sam. And yeah, it's gonna be the control deck. Which one? Like the one I use most. And yeah, we're gonna do it in ranked since with the reset last patch. The rank has been redone, and I have to start from basically zero. Only
How
on one
often
game.
does it like reset?
Now it's like once a month, if I recall correctly. As like prize at the end, and it's also now with a different rank system instead of like bronze, silver, and gold, platinum, and such. You now have like these 25 ranks, and you start off as an angry chicken.
Your soul shall be
What?
mine.
Angry chicken?
Yeah, this thingy here, the angry chicken. It's one of the cards. Okay, so as you can see, my starting hand is quite bad. And as a Warlock, sure, my deck is mostly late game, but I still need something early game to protect myself. That Owl is definitely a keeper, because of the silence and only 2 costs. It's a great card. And the Hunter can't remove it that easily anyway. So yeah, we're gonna keep those, but the rest definitely has to go. No use at this point in the game.
But you're playing like Jiraxxus and Ragnaros in the same deck. Isn't that like a little bit overkill?
Not really. I mean, Jiraxxus is awesome because of, well, the attacks you basically get like every turn and this facial. And Ragnaros is awesome because it's kind of like a charge. And like even if he gets silenced, you can still attack normally instead of the effect where it does 8 damage every turn. I can't do anything this turn. So like they both serve like different roles completely. And Jiraxxus is awesome because he resets my health when I life tap too much. Like seems overkill because they both can be dead draws kind of. Like if you get them too early, but that usually shouldn't happen because in this deck you can protect yourself till very late game because you control the field that much.
Isn't Hunter like a really like annoying person to meet as well? I mean, after all they can like just sit and shoot at you.
Very much so, yes. Wait, let's first see what I can cast here. I mean, I need to get rid of that bird, but yeah, I'll silence it. I have to. I can't make him exploit that effect. But yeah, as a hunter, I have to be careful because I have that life tap, which is great in my deck. I can draw so much, but at the same time, a hunter is all about rushing. He could play a lot of beasts like he's doing now. Then I give him a charge and he could basically rush me down in 1 turn for like 20 health. So if we're 5 turns in and I life tap a few times, I'm already dead there. So I have to be really careful with life taps when playing a hunter.
Yeah, and it's not only hunters you have to like be really careful against. Isn't it mages as well? Because if you drop too low, they just spell you out with lots of like pyro.
Mages as well, although a bit less since, like you said, pyro and such are very late game cards, like 10 mana cost, 6 mana cost, 8 mana cost, and those. So they're very late game as well, but yeah, you have to be careful. And here I'm gonna play a life tap since he can't do much at the moment. Like he can jump into my wall and die. My monster will survive. And let's see what he does here. That's a bit of an annoyance, but even then, he's gonna blow himself up. No, he's not. Probably gonna have to take care of that buzzard. I could life tap and play this minion, and I should be pretty safe that way. It's probably the best way to go. I want more cards than just these. I need to put something on the field as well. That's actually a great draw, especially against the hunter. The reason why I attack him here is so next game he's gonna kill my Voidwalker anyway with that tiger. And if I wouldn't have destroyed that, I would have had to deal with that buzzard later on still. So yeah, I just wanted sort of an advantage there, otherwise he would have 2 minions.
Yeah, you just want to get something out of it.
Yeah, otherwise I'd be left with like no creatures and he with 2 instead of like 1, basically.
Yeah. So playing a like control deck overall, what is like the main goals in like a fight against Hunter, for example?
Main goal is about, well, you want that hunter to draw like many of his cards, like put most of them off the field without damaging your health too much, and like getting rid of them in like clean swoops. Like for example, this one right here, a hunter will play a lot of low like health cards, like a lot of like that tiger, the buzzard, If he like overextends in a few turns, put them all down in one turn, I can just take down like half of his monsters like in his complete deck in one turn, which he just all wasted at that point then. That's something like you want to get out of it. I'm gonna play this here. Now I'm with the dilemma, am I gonna live tap? I need to be careful with the Hunter, and I'm actually not gonna live tap. Just in case, if he puts up monsters next turn and has that free charge, I'd be screwed if I live tap too much, and my hand isn't too bad. I have a solution for most things at the moment. It's better not to waste that health, even if I have much. Right there you see, he destroyed my taunt, so now it could get dangerous, although he doesn't have the mana to do much yet.
Yeah. Like, how much health do you want to stay up on, like when you're meeting like
Honestly,
enemies that like really can burst you down?
Against the Hunter at this point, with this many cards in his hand and this point in the game, I honestly don't want to drop too much below 20. Because that 4 right there, if he puts up, let's say, another like, let's say a 2/2/1s and gives them charge, which also gives +1 for free mana, then he would have like, let's calculate here, like 5, he would have 9 damage for 4, like next turn already. If he's later in the game, that like can double basically very easily if he has more monsters. Like 1 charge, just no other buff cards counted. But
yeah.
Here's a move that will protect me quite a bit. Like, that's the reason why I have that card, the Demon Fire. It can pump up my demons while I don't have that many. But it can also like destroy him. If he wasn't in stealth, I could have destroyed him right off the bat as well.
Yeah,
Here.
that is a son of a bitchy thing.
Yeah.
Almost out of time.
Yeah, I'm playing a bit slow here. I'm not gonna... Yeah, actually I'm gonna play this because I won't have the mana till next turn. Probably.
But isn't like the bad thing with playing a Warlock like control deck just that you wanna like extend the game as long as possible?
Well, yeah, you want to get very late game, like, well, not very late game, but like, the thing is, the longer the game goes, the stronger you potentially get.
Yeah.
And that's like, but that's why it's dangerous against the Hunter, who usually play rush decks, and there he screwed me over kind of, with that kill command. But yeah, basically that's why the Hunters are dangerous with their rush decks. If you don't get late game and they get good draws, you're like, could be dead in potentially like 3 or 4 turns if he has a good draw, and you don't have defenses early on. Now right now it's going pretty smoothly. I'm actually gonna play a bit dangerously. Well, not that dangerous. Do a live tap. It's a great live tap, except that I can't play it yet.
And there you also got your Ragnaros for a bit ago.
Yeah. Now of course the question is, am I gonna play it next turn or not? Like, a Hunter doesn't have much board clear. A Hunter has a lot of damaging cards, like that one. But like, a Mage has Polymorph, which changes your monster into 1/1. A Shaman has Hex, which changes it into 0/1. But a Hunter doesn't have that, so it's not too like dangerous to play that next turn. It won't get killed right off the bat. If I were facing a Mage, a Shaman, most decks basically, Priest, I couldn't play that because he'd have CC. I'd be basically using this one and he'd waste that CC on this one. And then I could consider playing this one.
Yeah,
Like,
so actually Ragnaros is a really good card against Hunter.
yeah, it is.
But for mages
right
and so on, it kinda sucks.
Right now I don't want to use it actually. Maybe I want to. I'm actually gonna play it safe here. Get myself some health.
He's actually starting to like push you down more and more.
Yeah, that is very true. But the reason why I didn't want to play Ragnaros there is I couldn't risk that monster I destroyed. He was like 6/4, that Panther at that point. I couldn't risk not killing him. And I wasn't like absolutely safe that my Ragnaros would take him out since it's too RNG. So I kind
But
of
when
went...
you're playing a control deck, what cards do you really want? Like, are there any special like cards you just think of immediately when you like control deck Warlock?
As a Warlock, this one
that
definitely.
goes in fine combinations.
Twisting Nether you definitely need. Like, you want 2 of those. Oh crap, give me 1 second here, it's getting a bit dangerous.
And also you told me before that you only had like a few demons.
Yeah.
How many Sense Demon cards do you have? 1?
1, exactly 1, because I only have 3 demons, so if I like, I already played the demon this turn, I will get like, if I play this now, I'm bound to get 1 Void Walker and 1 Jaraxxus. And that's a great thing about having a few demons. You know that since demons is gonna like give you Jaraxxus basically. It's almost sure.
Yeah, it's 33% chance that you will get him.
What
I mean, it also increases.
What I'm gonna do here might be a bit risky. But he probably doesn't have a way around it. He will get many monsters left.
My shield for Argus.
And now I have a 9/9 taunt on the field, and like I said, he doesn't have any like direct removal.
Yeah.
So he's gonna have trouble removing that card. He's gonna or have to like run his minions into it, or like waste 2 spells on it at least. Or
how many cards do you have that are like taunt, you know, stall cards really in your deck?
Not many. Like on the top of my head, if I think about it immediately, like if you count this one, probably like 3 in total. Not many. But the reason why that is because you have many removal cards. Like I could have used this, I could have used this. I could have used like, yeah, this one I have of course a stand, and this. Like even if he gets a lot on the field, usually I have like spells to remove them. But I played this time because if I keep this 9 up, if he can't remove it, like he's in big trouble. So he has to run his minions into it now. Look, he has to do all that just to get rid of 1 card. He used 1 spell and 2 of his monsters. And that gave me the field completely, because now I do this. I remove this. We're back where we started last turn basically. Like he's completely like drained of cards. He has 3 cards. So this basically like I'm now in a safe spot. He can't like summon 2 monsters and charge. He won't get like past my health with that. Like he might get past the Blade Master. He will never like get completely to me.
Would you say that Hunter is the counter to Warlock, or is it the other way around?
No, I'd say, I mean, a control deck Warlock is better against a Hunter than a Rush Warlock, let's say. But a Hunter, like, it's honestly about equal. If the Hunter gets a really good starting hand and Yuri's like average, he will get you down in a few turns. But if you're both like an equal hand, let's say, then it's really about the skill. Then it can go both ways completely. And
if you're like alive as a Warlock to like mid game, you pretty much
then you like can probably and if you have you will probably win as a Warlock. If you're later in the game, if you can get the Hunter at that point, you've probably won. Like I will finish it like this just so I don't have to do another turn. But at that point you've probably won, because the Hunter is about rushing and he will not be able to help it but play a lot of cards. Like there he had only 3 cards left when I had total field domination and like 6 cards in the hand. Because we were like at what, 8 turns or something, and he just couldn't do anything at that point. Like there was no way he was gonna get around it with 3 cards. He doesn't have that kind of draw power either.
It's too bad we didn't get to see Lord Jirax as well. It's quite bad, because I know that's like one of your favorite cards as well.
Indeed. The thing is, you don't like, I mean, I could have like gotten it, but there was no need. Like it's this high end like late game card, and I had enough health, so I didn't really need to use it. Yeah.
But like, if you would say like, which of the Warlock decks is easiest to learn and which is like the hardest one to learn really in like strategizing and so on?
Oh, that's a
tough
question.
Of all the 3 that you can promote.
I don't.
Yeah, that's
like,
why I'm asking.
It's kind
like
of
what's your
of like, for me it's harder to play a rush deck, but I will say it depends on the person. When I play a rush deck, I often find myself without cards after a few turns. Although with a Warlock you have that class ability that you can draw cards, but you like have a tendency to play a lot of cards. So if you're bad at controlling yourself and you like are too like focused with a rush deck on dealing that damage and like wanting to get that field domination, you will basically burn yourself and be running out of cards after a few turns. And if they have some field control, then you're totally screwed. But if you're like good at controlling that, like then of course a control deck is gonna be harder to play. The thing with a control deck is you have to think your moves a bit further, I feel. Like with a control deck, like I know exactly like which control cards I have in my deck. For example, when I like my opponent has a few cards in his hand.
Yeah, actually, when you're talking about that, you could actually let us take a look at your deck, and you could show us a little bit what you're actually meaning.
good idea.
Just to so every people will like get the view of like what a control deck really is for those who have like no clue as well.
For example, I had that Sense Demons in my hand there. Like, of course, I still had Hellfire there, so I didn't really have a problem. But let's say I had Sense Demons, so I could have grabbed a Voidwalker with ease. And I also know I have, like, for example, this removal in my deck. There is it. Shadow Flame. So I could blow up a friendly minion, a friendly demon. So let's say at that point I could be thinking, oh, he has a lot of cards. Maybe it's time for me to start playing that Sense Demons. And I would have gotten Jaraxxus in a Voidwalker. So that Voidwalker I could have potentially like kept at that point till I drew like a Demon Fire. And with that combination you can very cheaply like remove your whole opponent's field by buffing up that Voidwalker. And then if it gets out of hand still, like if that isn't enough, you could just Shadow Flame it. Like the Voidwalker is a like very cheap minion, you don't have much use for it except early game. And then with the Demon Fire and the Shadow Flame, it's like basically a free board wipe. Like if you're that far into the game where you can do such combos, that Voidwalker isn't like much use to you, so it doesn't matter like wiping the board with it. But like I said, like I had one Twisting Nether as well. I had like probably like about 15 cards. If I had like done a few life taps, I would like probably have both my Twisting Nethers in my hand at that point, and like I already had the Hellfire. So basically that Hunter, like he could never gain control there on the field, no matter how many minions he spawned, because a Hunter has like mostly low cost like cards, you know, like 2 cost, 3 cost, 1 cost beasts. They never will have more than 2 to 3 health max. So basically he could never gain control at that point. Like once you're 4 or 5 turns in, that rush deck isn't gonna be able to take control of the field unless you have wasted stuff like your Hellfire and such too early. Like you don't want to play it when he has like 1 or 2 monsters. Even if it looks a bit dangerous on the field, you might want to consider just live tapping in the hope you get like, for example, a Shadow Bolt. I have, where are they? Hell, I can't find them. Yeah, here. I have 2 Shadow Bolts. Those are able to deal with most of a Hunter's card as well. So you just don't want to waste that. Like the most important thing about that like control deck is make sure you like don't waste cards. Don't waste those AoEs on 1 or 2 like monsters. Just waste them till it's really like necessary. Like he has played like 4 monsters, 3 monsters in 1 turn, because hunters can do that. Then you play those. You don't just like make sure you don't waste those like good cards, because they are game changers right there. Hellfire, Shadow Flame, Twisting Nether especially is like a game changer. And what I want to advise to Warlock like control decks, get at least 1 Molten Giant. Like you're gonna be life tapping a lot, you're gonna be taking some damage early game. That Molten Giant like is like potentially the best combo with Twisting Nether. If you're getting a bit low health, he takes field control, bam, you play a Twisting Nether, it feels like, of course your minions are gonna be dead, but if he has field control it doesn't matter, since you don't have that many minions on the field usually at a time. And then you can play a Molten Giant for free. I mean, or like even if it's still 2 cost, like that's a massive play there, and it changes the game around completely. Many times as a Warlock control deck I've like won with like 5 health remaining, 1 health remaining, just because you can play such combos. And of course if you like after that turn you can still play a Jaraxxus or something if you like need it and get back to 15 health. And if that Jaraxxus even lost 1 turn, which it should since it's your health, you don't take that much damage a turn, you will be able to use his passive, like his, well not passive, his racial, which costs 2, and you summon a 6/6 Infernal, which is also a demon. So again that goes back to having to be able to use Shadow Flame on those 2/2 cost for 6 damage to enemy minions. Of course that is very late game play, but like I said, if you reach late game with your Warlock, like mid to late game, you're like nigh indestroyable. Like except other control decks are gonna give you a hard time, like you mentioned earlier Sam, a mage. Like that's where it gets dangerous, because they will be able to pull out stuff like fireballs, frost bolts with ice lances, all that kind of stuff, and that's the only like thing you really need to be careful at that health versus such opponents.
And kind of they don't mind if you actually stall sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Mages are late game themselves, so usually mages are also control, so they want to get to late game as well. And the tough thing about that game is gonna be you don't have many like low cost minions that are great like use. Like most of them are just like drawing out the game, like this taunt and like restoring health here, although that's optional. And the mage is gonna be exactly doing the same. Like, he doesn't want monsters on the field. He wants to get late game to pump out a few hard monsters maybe, and then like get the stuff in like Pyroblast and Fireballs. And he's gonna be really hard to kill, that mage, because yeah, he also wants that late game. You don't have the means to put pressure on him. You have a few low costs and your big costs, that where you have to play smart, because he will have at least 2 polymorphs. When you play a mage, take into account he will have 2 polymorphs, and at that point in the game where you can summon that Ragnaros, that Lord of the Arena, that Araxes, anything, he will have those polymorphs in his hand. So you want to draw them out, like play your Lord of the Arena, play maybe what? Yeah, so he polymorphs that. What did you say? Yeah, Ragnaros. That sounds weird. But yeah, play that Lord of the Arena, he will polymorph that, and then play something else, like maybe one of your Molten Giants for a low cost if you're at that point. He will polymorph that, and then play those big cards like Ragnaros. Yeah, you know, your Jirax's minions, your Molten Giants, you know, like...
Yeah, just on a finishing note, kind of, like, which like clauses do you like face roll over, like in which specs and so on, and which is like the ones that like, oh fuck, I don't want to meet this because, well, it's fucked.
The thing I hate most, probably, like I don't want to meet most, are probably both a shaman, not a shaman, a hunter actually, like we faced earlier. A hunter, just because of the reason they can rush you down. If you have a bit of a bad hand, like I said, he has an average or good hand, they burst you down. You start losing your ability to life tap because you don't want to get lower, which like you have a lot of high cost cards, so you need that life tap to also get the like low cost. As you can see the curve here, I mean it's pretty good, like still pretty like 1 to 4 is still like very mid game, but you want that card draw, and he's able to deny you, like if you get a bit of a bad hand, he's able to deny you that very early on, and
which is the other like class you would like hate to also to meet.
And the other is priest, because a priest has a lot of like, the priest like main like hard stuff about it, they usually play control as well, is they have mind controls for 8 mana, they take control of any of your monsters. They can also do such things like take a control of a monster for like 1 turn, like below 3 attack, and then they have stuff like very cheap removal. They have Shadow Word Pain, which removes everything, like anything with 3 attack or lower for like 1 or 2 mana cost, and Shadow Word Death for 3 mana cost, anything 5 or higher. So as you can see...
I actually didn't think you would think they were that hard, because they stall a lot.
Yeah, but the thing is, like I said, they have those Shadow Word Deaths for very cheap cost, and those Shadow Word Pains. And 4 attack is a sweet spot against them, and you're not gonna have many 4 attack monsters in a deck like this. Like, the only thing I can think of, like I have and most people running a control destruction, because it's gonna be a bit different, is gonna be that Spellbreaker maybe, and like 1 or 2, but you're not gonna have those sweet spot cards. And anything higher up, like your big game breakers, like my Ragnaros, my Molten Giants, my Lord of the Arena, let's think about it. If he has 2 mind controls, let's say he mind controls this one twice, he has 2 Shadow Word Deaths, there goes my Ragnaros, there goes my Lord of the Arena. All my high cost cards except like, oh crap, that was a bottle, except my Lord Jiraxis there is gone. And that's the problem. A priest can remove everything you have, like that's like your like big like damage, where you want to like remove your opponent's health with. He can basically negate all of that if he has a few removal cards. He has like more than enough means to it, and they don't cost much mana, so he's usually gonna be able to use them. That's why it's so hard. So yeah. But yeah, I mean,
like, so it's priest control and hunter, because they have burst pretty much.
Yeah,
overall,
pretty much.
Because they have,
Shamans can be dangerous as well, but the difference between a shaman and a hunter, a shaman is also mostly rush, and they will get a lot of totems, for example, which cost them 2 mana, and they most of the times don't have attack, and they will get some minions on the field. But the danger is shamans have bloodlust, which gives all minions, I think, +2 or +3 attack. So if he has totems and you've ignored them a bit, then, and if he then pops a bloodlust with a few minions on the field, he will of course also be able to one-shot you from like even like 20 to 30 health in 1 turn if it's too late. But it's less dangerous because Hunters have a lot of drawing ability, like they are able to summon beasts and with their beasts like have synergy to get other beasts buffed up and summon other beasts, like draw more. And shamans don't have that, and that's why shamans are a bit less dangerous. And like I said, it's their totems which usually have 0 attack. So those totems are easy to take out, and you still have a lot of board control, like the Hellfire here, which can take them out if they have too many, like if they have 2 totems and like a monster, and you have like enough health and like still all your Hellfire and like your Shadow Flame and such, you can easily say, okay, I throw 1 Hellfire here just to make sure that I'm safe. And they will not be chipping your health away. Like 100, their class ability is 2 damage with their bow for 2 mana, straight to your health through anything like. So that's why, like, not only are you damaging yourself as a Warlock, but the Hunter will be able to chip your health as well at any time. So at a Hunter you just see your health decrease at a rapid rate if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically the danger.
Is there anything like more you wanna like put forward now before we end this video?
Maybe if you're building a deck here, I'll give you the staples of this deck. Like what I feel is really necessary, at least like 1 or 2 Voidwalkers I would say are kind of necessary. Because you want some early game monsters, and it's a great early game monsters unique to Warlock, and it's a great like mana efficient. As you like, mana efficient is 1/1/1 and this is 1/1/3. So even if it's 1 attack, it's a great monster, and it allows you synergy with like stuff like Demon Fire, Power Overwhelming, and yeah, if you use those of course, so that's great. And like I said, you can use Sense Demons in your deck. You're gonna be running Jiraxes as well. That's a staple for almost every log deck. And yeah, that Sense Demons, so basically use at least 1 Voidwalker, otherwise that Sense Demons gives you a worthless imp, which is 1/1/1, instead of that Voidwalker in Jiraxes. So use at least 1 Voidwalker, I'd say. 2 if you like him. I really like him and I wanted that early game curve. So those are definitely like recommended. At least like 1 or 2 Shadow Balls. You're running a control deck here, no way around it. And that Shadow Bolt is still 4 damage, like 1 minion, 3 mana. It's not bad, not the best, but still it's a great removal card which doesn't damage yourself, which is like single target compared to all the others, like which are like 3 damage to everything instead of like 1 strong monster removal, kind of. So run at least like, I'd say 2 actually of those recommended. Hellfire, no doubt about it, 2 of them, massive board wipe, especially against rush decks, they're great. That's really not a question. Shadow Flame I'd say is optional, but if you have Jiraxes and for example Voidwalker and like even 1 Demon Fire or Power Overwhelming, or at least like 2 of those kind of cards, like 1 Demon Fire, 1 Power Overwhelming or 2 Demon Fires, run Shadow Flame as well. It's the same as Hellfire basically, except it doesn't hit players and it doesn't hit you. But it costs you 1 monster. And yeah, I mean you can use it on other monsters, but that Voidwalker is really cheap to play, it's really cheap to buff up with Power Overwhelming. And then using a Shadow Flame is devastating. Let's say if you use this Voidwalker, and play Power Overwhelming, you get a 5/7 out of it. Am I right? Yeah, 5/7. You can use that 5/7 to attack your opponent, let's say, do 5 damage, and then you blow it up for another 4 mana cost and destroy your whole enemy's field. Sure, you lose your own minion, but it's a great, like, I mean, you did 5 damage and the field is yours. It's no doubt about it. It's a great play. It's a great combo. You definitely like kind of want something like that. Another staple, not everybody runs Spellbreakers in their control deck. I like to run at least 1 silence. You could say like maybe the Iron Beak Owl is better suited here because it's another low cost, but at least 1 silence, maybe 2, to get around that yeah, like annoying taunt you want to get rid of, or an annoying effect. The reason I choose 2 Spellbreakers is because it gives you that mid-game damage. Like you don't have too many damaging monsters, and the Spellbreaker is great. It gives you that silence and it gives you 4 attack, which is, with that combined with that silence, it's still very good. Siphon Soul, at least 1 needed. I like to run with 2 because, well, 6 mana, any monster is dead no matter the health, so you don't need to be careful of that. It goes through Divine Shield and such, don't worry about it. It destroys the Divine Shield and the monster, it's full destruction. Unlike, for example, Shadow Flame will only remove Divine Flame. Divine Shield. Hellfire will only remove Divine Shield. Siphon Soul goes through all that, and you restore some health, which you use a lot as a lock, because you're drawing all those cards. So 1 is at least recommended. 2 Twisting Nethers, I mean, no need to explain, destroys everything. 8 mana cost, very late game. I run at least 2. Some people like to run only 1 because it can be a dead draw. But I mean, go with 1 at the... you need 1 at least, like, most definitely. Ragnaros is optional. He's a great card, I really like him because it's basically like a charge. If he gets silenced though, you can still attack with him. It's 8/8/8, so he's like normal on the efficiency, mana efficiency part. But he's a great card, like in the end, like I really love him. Like it's just a big like threat to your opponent. Like if your opponent has 2 things on the field, let's say 1 monster and himself just, like if you play that, even if you like aren't able to attack with him, and if that's your only thing, he's gonna take or 8 damage or lose the monster. If he takes 8 damage, then he has that monster to attack you with, but he has to take down that Ragnaros, or the same thing is gonna happen over and over to his stuff. And it gives you that insane control. Let's say it's the same as a mage using Pyroblast every turn for free after playing it once. Like that's basically the thing, except he can destroy it for health, but still, it's a free Pyroblast every turn, as long as he's there. Jiraxis,
yeah, as long as not a mage.
Yeah,
like poly him.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why you play out poly with other cards. And then for the rest, yeah, Jiraxis, he's a game changer. Very late game, obviously, I can see the concern with that, but still, very like effective. If you're low health, it restores your health. You get 3 attack damage, like 3 damage in every turn as a weapon with 8 durability. So basically that's 8, 16, am I not miscalculating here? 24 damage, right? Yeah, 24, no, wait, it was 3 damage. Yeah. 24 damage, like, in total for his weapon. And he can summon, like, after the turn you play them, you can summon a 6/6 Infernal every turn for only 2 mana. I mean, that's insane. And
yeah,
that
is quite insane.
Yeah, that can be...
And cool as hell.
Yeah, and that can be blown up as well with Shadow Flame. And yeah, cool as hell. I mean, his emotes are the best in game. And the Molten Giants, I'd say 1 at least. 2 is preferred by me and many people, because you're the late game deck, that's for sure. Late game you're gonna have taken damage, not even if it's only because of your life tap. I mean, usually you're not gonna be playing this one for more than like 5 cost. Like it's gonna be down to that cost very quickly, like 5 at most. Like you go down to that 15 very quickly. You didn't see it in this duel because it was a hunter, and I had to like prevent myself from getting there. But usually I go down to 15 very quickly. I don't mind getting there because I know at that point I can summon those Molten Giants very cheaply, and I can still sustain myself at that point without too much like a threat, being a threat that I get killed. So yeah, that is a great card, at least 1. And then some optionals. Voodoo Doctor I wouldn't say is like too recommended. Like I like it because it's again a card you can play very early on and get some health, like restore this Voidwalker back to full if he's been chipped a bit. But like 1 Earthen Seer is kind of recommended, I think. Like it restores 3 health. It's a bit more late game, but not only can it restore your life tapping health, but it can also restore, let's say, that Ragnaros you have on the field, that Molten Giant you have on the field, like the thing they're trying so desperately to get rid of. You can like put that monster on the field, get some extra damage and heal that thing. It's a real pain in the ass from time to time. I'd say run at least 1 of the Earthen Farseer, Earthen Ring, and that's kind of it. Like all the others you can play around with, but don't forget you're playing a control deck. Don't go for too many low cost minions that are like low damage, low cost and just low health. Go for more like mid to end game cards and some like spells. Spells are the thing you like. That's why I say put Sense Demon in there as well. If you have Jiraxis and at least 1 Voidwalker, Sense Demons is a great card, because like it will happen at least once where you're like, I will have a few mana left. At that turn you can play that Sense Demon and be ready for that Jiraxis play. You don't have to be like, when am I gonna draw him? You're gonna be like, it's a surefire way to get Jiraxis. So yeah, kind of recommend it as well. So yeah,
can control deck be played with more than these demons, or Do you think that's just redundant?
No. It can definitely be done, although, I mean, let's go over demons here. I don't have them all, but let's go to crafting for a sec.
Like what demons are like worth actually taking in that you know?
I wouldn't go with the Blood Imp. Obviously, it gives your minions +1 health, but you're a control deck. You're not about playing minions, you're about just sustaining the field with 1 or 2 of your monsters on it. Like, usually you won't go much more over that, so skip the Blood Imp. Flame Imp it got nerfed last patch, like not too long ago, I think today maybe even. They nerfed it, usually did only 2 damage to yourself, and you get a 3-2, so it's a great early game. This one is kind of recommended. If you need some more early game monsters, like you don't pick the Voodoo Doctor, this one is kind of a recommended card. It's a very early game card, it's a great like mana efficiency, and it's 3 damage. I mean, that's great, like for you doing 3 damage, it's very great. Like very strong early game, but except again, keep in mind it's an early game card and it's gonna do 3 damage. I wouldn't run more than 1 of it. But yeah, that one you could use. A Felguard, I wouldn't use. Destroying one of your mana crystals in a deck where you require so much mana, no, I wouldn't go with it. It's basically, destroying a mana crystal is more like, it doesn't sound like too big of a deal, but it actually is quite a big of a deal. Destroying your mana, you change the pace of the game a lot by doing that. That's Druids, their strong point is that they can gain mana. Like Druid can get to 10 mana while you are still stuck at like 7 or 6. If you have destroyed yourself a mana crystal and you're like at say 5 mana, when they're at 9, they can pump out twice the amount which you can. So yeah, that's it's dangerous. I wouldn't do it. Void Terror, very easy to see. You don't play it in this deck. It's a rush deck card. You destroy the minions on either side of this minion and gain their attack and health. But in a control deck you don't have enough minions to justify, like, it's too hard to set up. You're not gonna have like a lot of minions on the field like most of the time. Being able to like make this card worth it really, I would say put other cards in it like instead of that one. It's not like too worth it. A Pit Lord, 5 damage to yourself, you could consider it. 4 mana cost isn't too high. Let's say instead of one of the, what's it called? Instead of one of the silencing minions. I can't find the name. Crap. You know, the 4 damage 3 attack silence. You could use one of these, but still 5 damage is a bit too high of a price, I think. Because you're gonna be doing a lot of damage to yourself, and 5 damage is quite a big deal. I mean, 5 damage? Nah, not worth that. I mean, for the same cost, for 4 mana, you can get another monster that has at least 4 damage and like 5 health. You can find that. So I wouldn't say that 5 health is worth it. A Doom card, discard 2 random cards, no. It's a no. Definitely no. Like in a deck about controlling, you don't want to like discard your 2 cards. Like everything you have in your deck is valuable. Everything you will have in your hand is meant to control your opponent and keep control. You don't want to discard 2 cards. If you could choose which cards, it might be like, yeah, sure, I pick it, but right now it's a no. There's only one more demon, and I somehow skipped it. They just removed Succubus? No, they didn't. What? Okay, I must be blind here, but Sam, do you see a Succubus anywhere? Wow. Don't tell me I missed a patch note where they removed the Succubus.
No, I don't see any Succubus at all.
No, me neither. I must be...
It can
oh,
also
it must be because I was in crafting, yeah. A Succubus is there as well, but again, it's the same like a Doomguard. You don't want to use it since it's a great, like, don't get me wrong, it's better than a Doomguard in my opinion, because it's very early game, very strong in health and like attack compared to its mana cost, but still, you're discarding a random card which, like 90% of the time you will be discarding a card you will need later in this deck.
Yeah, because it's a control deck after all. And like you said,
all the cards in here are meant to like gain that control, and you don't have cards like a hunter, for example. If this was in a hunter deck, you could say I discard a random card, I have many monsters, I have like means to put them out, but like, so you have some cards like, for a hunter will summon monsters and be like, I'm just gonna throw these monsters into that wall and it doesn't matter, they're gonna be dead, but I have more. But for you, you don't have cards like that, which you say, I don't need them, I can throw them away. You simply don't. Everything has a use. Everything is kind of connected. So no, discarding is just generally bad, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
That were all. Any questions more, Sam? That was actually a great question. Yeah.
I think there is only one question left. Like the structure of a control deck. What is like
Yeah.
most efficient? We just go in like structure like.
The mana cost.
If you're going out from the beginning, pretty much when you start building your own deck.
Yeah.
Like how should you build it? Like how should you have the structure up exactly? Kind of to make a good basic deck without having any special cards. Just like the structure.
Okay, so basically like the structure is, you want to think of it like this. You want at least like, I'd say 50-50 about in spells and monsters. You want about an equal level of that, like when it comes to creatures. And then you want a few high cost creatures, a few like I use my Molten Giants and Ragnaros. You want a few high cost creatures which have a really big, which are like the oh shit, he summoned that monster. And other than that, like the other monsters, you want to be like low cost, which are like great mana efficient or like have a great use. So like every monster you see here will have an effect, and that's the thing your monsters are for, the lower monsters. They're basically for like giving you advantages like a taunt, like restore health, like you know, like that. You don't want them to be just a monster, you want them to do something extra. You want to be focusing on their effects more than you want to be focusing on their stats, really. Like the Iron Big Owl is like quite bad in stats, but it has a silence, which makes it a great monster. And that's kind of where you want to be going, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I think I see what you're meaning.
Like,
but
they're monsters for the sake of more control, basically. Like, not more control, but like, not just the damage they have and not just the health. You want their effects to be good. Like, basically an Iron Big Owl is also one of those almost staple cards in every deck just because of that silence at a low cost. Like such things, like you want to be looking out for great cards thanks to their effects. And like the reason why I advise like 50% and like a few high, not like many low, is a lot of spells are high cost. A lot of like high to mid range like they are. And those low minions, like those low cost minions with effects, an attack will be able to like get you through that early game. Basically, they're the ones that will protect you through that early game till like that later game where you can throwing out more spells and then like a monster with it, like to that point. Like they're the ones that will sustain you till that point, basically, almost.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that about wraps this up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We've
been talking for a long time, actually, I think. But yeah, doesn't matter. So yeah.
Yes.
I think that was basically it. If there's any question, you can leave them in the comments. And yeah, next up will probably, I guess, a Warlock rush deck we will do, right? Because, well, we're with Warlock now, it would be kind of stupid to switch to something else first.
Yeah, we're just gonna go to the next Warlock. We will see what one we're going with. It's like unsure yet so far.
Yeah, so next time we're gonna do a different deck, and I hope you enjoyed this. Any questions you can point to me or Sam. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See ya.